Happy New Year, email geeks. Welcome into 2019 and welcome into the Kevin Mandeville Show, where I'm live every Tuesday and Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on YouTube. You can subscribe at kevinmandeville.com/newsletter. So how are you? How's the new year going? I hope you all had a great New Year's Eve. You had a fun time partying it up, living it up, whether you're out, in, whatever you were doing. I hope you had a good one, but it's a new year. It's 2019. We got to kick things off, getting into some more email stuff. But I'm going to start off this new year with predictions. And this isn't going to be the typical boring predictions. Oh, the year of customer centricity. No. I'm not off the hook that easily. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over my 5 predictions from last year. And I'm going to give you 5 new predictions this year. So we're going to see how well I did last year. And then I'm going to give you mine for this year. And these things are measurable. So, it takes some table cells here because they can bust big time, as you're about to find out. So let's get into my predictions from last year, 2018, and let's run through them quickly here. So first off, I'm going to give myself a big check mark on this one, where I predicted that AOL Mail will shut down. Now, did it technically shut down the entire email client? No, but the rendering engine has gone away. So essentially, AOL Mail and Yahoo Mail now live under the same rendering engine. Verizon, which is no longer Oath now, it's Verizon Media Group. But at the time, Oath, it pretty much just merged AOL into Yahoo, which made sense. And this was my reasoning behind making this prediction all along, was that Yahoo had the larger market share based off all the historical data we were able to measure at emailclientmarketshare.com. So it only made sense that they would pour resources into the Yahoo app. And especially since they retired the AOL Alto email app, it just seemed like Yahoo is going to get all of the resources dedicated towards it. So AOL Mail still exists as a client, but the rendering is the exact same, and it merged onto Yahoo Mail's actual infrastructure for email. So I'm going to give myself a check for that one, because for all intents and purposes, AOL Mail is a thing of the past. The next 4, though, I wasn't so lucky. I said the Outlook apps would introduce highlights akin to the inbox, and this was fresh off of Microsoft releasing sort of these actionable message cards that you could use inside of emails in the Outlook webmail clients. And this uses JSON just like Gmail uses for their quick actions and highlights feature, and akin to what they're using for their new annotations feature in the promotions tab. And I just thought that this was going to be the underlying framework that they could use to essentially have these new highlights for their mobile app, and they would swagger jack what Gmail was doing for their mobile apps, but that didn't happen for Outlook. So I was really surprised. I mean, the only thing that Outlook has done so far is they have the focused inbox akin to the primary tab. They haven't really done much of anything else in terms of these bigger things that Gmail is doing on the UI side, the UX side. So I was a bit surprised by that, but I have to give myself a big X-nay on that one. Didn't get that one right. I thought that Gmail would also surpass 30% market share. That did not happen. Gmail has kind of plateaued and hovered around that 29 to 30% market share line. It's around 29% right now. And I just thought that Gmail had continued to rise over the past few years. I thought this would be a trend that would continue and it would surpass 30% market share by the end of the year and hold steady. Hasn't happened, surprisingly. I think we've seen things like Samsung Mail has being reported separately as its own email client. That's held steady. Yahoo now has an adjusted report with AOL and Yahoo Opens being merged together now. So yeah, Gmail, it's kind of plateaued, which I find surprising. Especially I thought internationally it would have grown a bit more, but it didn't happen. So it kind of plateaued. So X-nay on that one. My other big prediction around Gmail is I thought Gmail would introduce native payments in the inbox. And this was coming off of the news that there was Google Wallet integration into the mobile apps for Gmail. And so you could make mobile payments through the apps. And I thought, wow, that is really the foundation you need to have native payments happen inside the inbox. So maybe it'll happen at some point. Didn't happen this past year. Gmail announcing AMP for email this year also introduces another method, perhaps, of this functionality coming to the inbox. But we didn't see anything quite like that. I would hold true, though, with my prediction that Gmail will definitely be the first email client that introduces this behavior. And then the last one that I got wrong, I thought that there would be a major lawsuit with a prominent brand involving Castle. And that just didn't happen. I figured this might be the year where some major bombshell might drop. Unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, if it means everybody's behaving by the email rules, but it didn't quite happen. So that was an XA on that one. So I went 1 for 5, 20%, not the best, but when you're, make it stick here, I'm trying to throw. I think I got a pretty good one that stuck, right? All right, so let's get into my crystal ball of predictions here for 2019. Oh yeah, I'm pulling out the visual effects on this one. So I'm gonna see what I can pull from the future for the year of 2019 email predictions. Need a little rub a dub here. All right, here we go. Maybe in no particular order, but I'm just gonna run down the list. Number 5. The Yahoo Android app will fully support media queries. So at the moment, the Yahoo Android app supports responsive email if you use a little bit of email hacks where you either use a double head because Yahoo app will strip the first head out, or you can put the styles in the actual body of the HTML, neither of which are semantic or proper. Yahoo needs to fix that. I'm going to predict that this year they're actually going to fix that. And that's going to no longer be an issue. We're no longer going to need those hacks to make it work. And Yahoo's Android app will fully support media queries, just like its iOS counterpart does. And so my other big thing too is I'm not really a big proponent of using those hacks. Why? It's not semantic. If you're doing mobile first and accommodating for clients that don't support responsive email, your email should still render properly. So don't use those hacks. That's my recommendation to you. Just let the email client fix it on their own. Number 4, Outlook apps will start getting tracked separately. So at the moment, Outlook iOS and Android is undetectable from WebKit opens with their headers and the way they get tracked. So one of my predictions this year is an improvement out of the Outlook and Microsoft partnership will be that the Outlook app starts getting tracked separately. So that way we can pull out Outlook app opens and see how it stacks up compared to at least Samsung Mail and Yahoo maybe, but at the moment it's being looped in with WebKit as it's a WebKit based rendering engine. So we don't really quite know exactly at the moment just how large the Outlook app is comparatively. We still have the issue with Gmail image tracking or pixel tracking and how it reports Gmail or unidentifiable reporting Gmail webmail versus mobile apps. So that still exists today. So it's kind of a murky waters on reporting email analytics a little bit, but I think that's going to be an improvement that's going to be for the benefit of the email community this year. Number 3, marketers will stop caring about landing in the primary tab. And so maybe this one doesn't have an exact metric, but I think this is a large enough thing that you'll be able to see whether it's an actual trend that holds true or not. Just like the other year, I predicted that people would still continue to inline their CSS despite, however you want to argue it. I say 99%, but definitely 95+% of email clients support embedded CSS. People would still be inlining their CSS, even though they wouldn't really have to. That's held true. And I think this is just one of those things that now that Gmail has launched annotations in the promotions tab, people won't care as much about landing in the primary tab. Now it's all about how can we be featured in the promotions tab. So Gmail, even though I don't think this was obviously a core motivation for them, they solved this issue really easily just by saying, let's just divert all the attention from the how can we be featured in the primary tab to how can we be featured in the promotions tab. It's given marketers something new to fight over. And I do believe that the annotations feature will be heavily adopted in the promotions tab. Why? Everybody can start implementing this right away. There's no program you need to be a part of to get access. It uses JSON or microdata. So anybody, regardless of what ESP they use, it supports it out of the box. You can start using this functionality. So I think annotations will be adopted. That's going to be a feature that will be improved upon. And that's going to be, I think, a big deal this year in email marketing is people adopting annotations in Gmail. Number 2, Salesforce will become the first ESP with interactive email templates with direct payment provider support. So this is coming off of the news that they acquired Rebel, which was sort of the interactive email as a service. They acquired that company, and I think that means only one thing. They're going to productize that in terms of templates. So not only having interactive templates, but it's really, in my opinion, the e-commerce transactions, which makes that service really, really powerful. And they're going to have third-party payment provider integrations. So I'm thinking companies like Stripe, Shopify, Eventbrite, they're going to have these third-party integrations that will have direct to checkout with a single click from the inbox. And Rebel had some of this for some of these providers, but I think Salesforce is going to be able to become the de facto destination for this functionality by saying, not only do we have these out-of-the-box templates for all these different things we do, here are all the integrations we have direct with these providers. And I think Salesforce is a large enough company that can leverage those partnerships through these companies. And that's where I think the bulk of the work is. I think interactive email templates can be done, certainly on the HTML and CSS side, but I think the bulk of the work and really the hard work for this type of transaction is the back-end side and getting the payment provider processing. That's where the real magic happens, in my opinion. So I think Salesforce is going to be the first company to do that this year, and they're going to be able to tout that as a really competitive feature for them. So look out for Salesforce and interactive email templates with the third-party payment provider solutions. So it's not just about the interactivity templates. It's about that payment provider integrations. And finally, my number one prediction of 2019 in email, going back to Gmail, is that AMP for email is not going to become a thing. AMP for email will not gain traction at all. So if you don't know what AMP for email is, Gmail earlier this year announced that they would be supporting AMP, which is accelerated mobile pages. It's a certain type of JavaScript library that is open source, but Gmail and Google is really the only one contributing to it. They're going to adopt that as a separate MIME type in email. And the big issue with this I see is that, one, this creates duplicate development work for companies to have to invest into. So you're asking companies to invest, sure, maybe Gmail has a large market share at around 30% right now, and it could be larger for others, maybe 50%. But you're essentially asking to require an entirely separate email that's developed for it. And maybe it is lightweight on the code side, but still it's that barrier to, are we going to take all this extra time to code just for this one email client? But once you break down and you look at the numbers, 90% say they've never built an interactive email and 50% say they don't plan on doing so anytime soon. This according to surveys by Litmus. I just don't see how people get excited over this or want to implement it. If you haven't taken the time to implement basic interactive emails in WebKit-based clients already, I don't see how people are going to get past the learning curve of learning AMP, an entirely separate markup language, and integrating that into email. But even the bigger problem and issue here is nobody has a way to get this here. Apart from Spark Post, there aren't any other ESPs that have support for this out of the box right now. And Gmail's been sort of very non-communicative with ESPs. I feel like a smart launch for them would have been, here are all the ESPs supporting this functionality, because it requires a separate MIME type. And right now, ESPs don't even support the ability to send this. We saw the Apple Watch adopt a new MIME type, and nobody has adopted the new MIME type for Apple Watch. Now, that's not to say that the Apple Watch is exactly Gmail. Obviously, Gmail is a much bigger, more important. Apple Watch is not much of anything. But it just goes to show a comparison, a comp that we can make. So, I mean, Gmail's creating all these barriers to adoption. They would have been much smarter just to have used JSON out of the box like their annotations does. If you use JSON and microdata, because it's not like they're even supporting 100% JavaScript. They're only supporting certain AMP components to begin with anyways. That would have been the much smarter way to go about implementing it. So my big thing is developers and companies aren't going to invest the extra time into learning how to do this. Everybody's going to be in a wait and see mode, and ESPs aren't going to adopt it either, because they're going to wait and see if customers actually want this functionality. And so you're just going to get this stare off, this face down here, and nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to move. So unlike Gmail annotations, which I think was implemented well and has no barriers to adoption right away, and for email is just littered with barriers to adoption. And so I don't think it's going to gain traction or any type of momentum or become a thing. So I think AMP for email will fail, and that'll be a general trend that we'll be able to see in the industry. There'll be a small niche of people who are technical enough, experienced enough, want to do it, but I think overall it's just going to not be a thing. So those are my predictions for 2019. I want to know what your predictions for 2019 are. Tweet me at Kevin Mandeville. Follow me on Twitter there. Interact with me. I'd love to know, do you agree or disagree with any of my predictions, and what are yours? Also, since it's the new year, what are your email New Year's resolutions? I'd love to know what your resolutions are. So that's it for this show. 2019, we're off and running. I'm representing my Bruins playing in the Winter Classic today, but I hope that 2018 was good. But if not, I hope 2019 is better. I hope you're very hopeful. I wish each and every one of you as much personal and professional success as life can bring. I hope this year is filled with hope and peace and health for you. So that being said, 2019 is off and running. Email geeks. Let's get after it.